Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Geek Centurions. It's me, your boy Eli, and I'm here with Joey.
What's up?
And we're back to talk about good old WandaVision, episodes 3 and 4, because we just felt like doing a double. It started. They gave us 2 episodes. We're gonna keep going with every 2 episodes, and then there's like 9 episodes in this show.
Yeah, and they still are pretty short in length
Yeah,
too.
and
So it's sort of like
I will say I have been hearing a bit of problems with that
interesting.
for some people.
Mm.
Now, I don't think it's everyone. I think I have heard that for some people it's like, okay, but for this one, can you at least make it longer? You know, for the other ones, I get it, but this one, can you at least make? We'll get to it. But anyways, these are the late episodes 3 and 4. We're going to talk about episode 3. We're going to talk about episode 4. There will be some spoilers for episode 3. 4, that's going to be hard to talk about.
Yeah, because episode 4 definitely is sort of at least so far, it's really big on sort of explaining at least a good chunk of what's going on in the show, at least a side of the story, right? So, yeah, it's gonna be hard to go into all the stuff that has been discussed by episode 4 without being like full spoilers, especially since it's come out at the time of us recording. It just came out. So, yeah, we'll do our best to, I guess, not be as super spoiler, but with episode 4, but basically sort of like do our usual rundown.
So let's start with episode 3. Episode 3, essentially, we jump from the 1950s, then we get into the 60s, and then this episode is basically the 70s. It's the Brady Bunch episode.
Yeah, it's very sort of styled in that theme. Sadly, we don't get like a recreation of the Brady Bunch opening, like like the whole like all the little heads and the squares and stuff. Probably because we don't have enough people in that town to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the opening is very Brady Bunch.
Yeah, it's definitely
minus the whole like everyone in the little square like 9x9 grid. 3x3 grid.
Yeah. It's it's very sort of it definitely harkens back to that time period, which is sort of what we have been expecting from the show. Is that part of the meta joke is that it's sort of recreating like popular things from family sitcoms of the eras, and now that we hit the 70s, that's sort of what we do. And it's basically sort of focused. This episode centers around Wanda being pregnant, and be like going through her pregnancy at like hyperspeed,
breakneck.
Yeah.
To the discomfort of Vision, who's like, wait, what?
Yeah, Vision is obviously like he's using like mathematics to like, wait, hold on a second. If you're already at 4 months, and you just had the bump last night, how does it? He's like just like trying to go through all the mathematical equations.
He's computing the logic. Whether when he's like forgetting their wife is magic, she has no logic.
Yeah, it is kind of like it is a pretty funny way of him just trying to be like, hold on, by judging by the amount of like the exponential rate and all this stuff of your growth and all this stuff, he's trying to calculate when the baby should be due, and meanwhile Wanda's just sort of like, kind of just going.
If it comes, it comes.
Yeah, she's like, it's whatever.
To which I'm just like, no dude would be happy to they like to prepare, man. We like to make sure we know what's going on.
I mean,
especially with something like this.
Yeah. So it is pretty funny in that respect. And of course, like because she's like going through her pregnancy so rapidly, that means they're hitting all like sort of the milestones like super fast. But it's also like with her experiencing pregnancy causes her powers to go a little haywire.
And of course, you get all the little jokes about her losing her powers, or as some people theorize, maybe it's one of her kids who's also master of magic and stuff.
I mean, that could potentially be it. It would be something that I actually didn't think about. That maybe she like it's not her losing control of her powers; it's the baby inside her experiencing like powers.
So
which, I mean, it's a pretty solid theory. It's something I didn't think about.
We'll figure out when we roll through. But essentially, everything is going a little haywire. It's what you expect, that kind of big joke. And really, I don't know. Part of the funniest scene was like, for me, it was what's his name? Rob, the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, I think it's Rob.
Yeah, his wife asked him if these earrings make her look fat. Everything goes dark, and he's like, "Thank God."
Like,
While looking at the camera, he's like, "Thank God." It's like, I did not want to answer that question. I couldn't stop laughing.
yeah.
Because that was like really good subtle jokes.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid joke there. The ad for this episode, if I recall correctly, it's like a shower ad or something.
Yeah, it's like a soap ad.
Yeah.
Which I think there was an actual soap ad just like that.
Mm.
So that's why they they basically recreated that. And the one thing I will say about the fact that we're taking our time with this, it lets the information go. So people were like, oh, they made a connection to this, they made a connection to that. They did the research. The more you realize they're research making, it's the more you realize, oh, they actually they put a lot of thought into this show.
Yeah, but I was gonna say that at least with the commercial, is the I'm assuming the shape of the shampoo, which is like a cube shape, is that supposed to be like a reference to the Tesseract?
I actually haven't even heard of that one. Actually, that actually would make sense.
I don't know, because it just has I don't know, it's just like a perfect cube thing. It's like Hydro Soak or something, and I don't know, in my brain I'm thinking about well, clearly the last two were references to other things, so I don't know, I was thinking maybe this is sort of a reference to the Tesseract being in the ocean, but I mean at the time, but I don't know.
Well, one thing I did note was that "Awaken the Goddess in You" was the tagline for that commercial. I felt like it was a callback to using the Hydro, basically, waking the abilities of Wanda that was inside of her, her and Pietro, especially because when we were first introduced them back in what was it, the mid-credits scene for Captain America: The Winter Soldier, they were like, this is the age of miracles and stuff like that, God's miracles and that kind of stuff. That's what I thought when they brought that up. That it's yours isn't that bad really. I didn't realize this long ago, and it's because I kind of stopped watching the show. Was Agents of Shield? They made a joke about Hydro Soap because they were trapped in this sort of weird Hydra simulation. So it's I think it was a nod to that too, but I'm I haven't seen Agents of Shield in a long time. Don't blame me. It kind of got a little there, but it's still a pretty cool thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then more hilarity ensues, and they're just essentially trying to figure out the baby. Well, basically the water broke, and now the baby's about to be born. They need a doctor, and they have to go get the doctor.
Yeah, Vision goes out to rush him over there because he's I guess he's gonna go to a vacation trip to Bermuda.
Yeah.
And he just he needs to catch him before he goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Monica Rambeau
comes in and is telling her a fun little story, and then she's trying to hide her pregnancy, which I didn't realize this, and this is what I'm saying. Get enough time, you start noticing stuff that a lot of sitcoms tend to do, especially hiding pregnancies, putting a pillow on the lap, giving them a much bigger, always wearing a jacket, and all that kind of stuff to hide the bump.
Mm-hmm.
Because her dress is really showing off the bump there.
Yeah, because she's rapidly progressing to the point where Vision thought she was gonna have the baby by Friday, and then she's already having the baby. It's oh
no.
Yeah.
And it's just the whole time is just Wanda trying to hide the fact that she's pregnant because she doesn't want the whole neighborhood to figure out that she has magic powers.
Right.
Which you having babies is probably the bigger question because no one noticed that you had a bump.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of the. Yeah, it is sort of a backwards way of thinking of her of trying to hide it. Obviously, the bigger question is how do you have babies when you haven't even been showing signs of being pregnant for the last 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, uh, that's just I guess it's just an oversight for her at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she has. Not only does she have like the baby in time or whatever, because Monica helps out, and they have the baby, and Vision shows up with the doctor, and he sort of misses the birth. But then it turns out that she's not, that she has twins.
Yeah, Billy and Tommy,
Yeah.
who are the comic book, they're comic book kids, and she gives birth to them, and everyone's like, "Oh, Wanda, that's great." Now, not to sound joyful, but that's basically what they were saying. Like, they're all happy for her. The doctor is like, "Well, I didn't expect that to happen so quick," and giving a quick comment to Monica, saying like, "You could be a nurse,"
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, he's been saying like a lot of weird sexist stuff throughout the episode. But then again, I'm like, okay, judging from the time period, I think he's meant to do that.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't press that for anyone, but yeah, it is this is a thing that I think I guess eagle eye viewers would notice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like they have their twins, and Vision goes out to see out the doctor.
But then we forgot to mention about their neighbor.
Oh yeah,
what is his name? Herb. His neighbor Herb.
Yeah.
He's like cutting off like the branches, but he kind of like goes a little overboard and starts like cutting at the wall.
Yeah. He was trimming the bushes near like their like a wall near their house or whatever.
A brick wall.
And he just happens to just be sawing right through the big wall. And he's like, "Herb, you know you're cutting in the wall, right?" And he's like, "I guess I am." And he just continues to do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, okay." Which is again like a little bit of one of the weird like what's going on here moments.
And you're also not to the fact when Vision starts questioning some stuff, it does a quick jump back where like he starts questioning. Basically, he starts questioning like all the weird stuff, and then he's like reverse back, kind of like we did in the last episode. He reverse back and is like, "Do you know what? This is a wonderful time. We're having kids and all that stuff."
Yeah.
He just forgets about that whole conversation.
Yeah.
Which is all like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he continues to. Herb and Agnes are being weird because whenever Agnes is around, she's always weird.
Yeah.
And they start talking about Monica, who for them her name is Geraldine, and asking Vision like, "You do know like she's like not part of this, right?"
He's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, because it's set up as like she's new here, she's moved or whatever, but she has no husband. It's like she's like a little weird, right? And they're definitely trying to imply something about her, and they just said they can't.
Something that all of us already know.
Yeah, that she's not. Yeah, that she is clearly not from around here or whatever. And obviously, Vision's like, "I don't understand. What are you trying to say?"
And Herb is like literally like 2 seconds away to say, "We think she's here because she's trying to help us because we're trapped," or something like that. He's almost says something like, "We're trapped."
Yeah.
But Agnes stops her, and like a lot of people, and I'll talk about Agnes as in later as we go on. That I feel like Agnes knows something, and she doesn't want to spill it to everybody. Because it could be bad news for some people. But of course, while all this is happening, Monica, Geraldine, is talking to Wanda, and Wanda's just like happy the fact that she has a twin. She has babies, they're twins, and she's like, I was a twin.
Yeah.
And then this is where the internet blew. Now you haven't checked Twitter a lot after these episodes, but the internet blew up at the mention of Pietro.
Yeah.
Because it's like, holy shit, we're talking about Pietro. We haven't talked about him since Ultron. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's going down. And it's like she starts singing in like Sokovian, and then like Monica just lets it drop. Like, Pietro, he was killed by Ultron. And literally less than a second, Wanda's head was like, what did you say?
Yeah, and Monica realizing that she said something, like, she tries to, like, backtrack. It's like, no, you talked about
my brother.
Yeah. It's like, how do you know that?
Think about Ultron.
Yeah, and she's sort of just questioning her, and kind of like Monica's like, "Come on, I'm just your neighbor, man. Calm down." It's like,
And she and then Wanda notices the sword logo, and that's when it's like, oh shit. And the tension shot is so good because you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And then like Vision walks in, and then all of a sudden she's gone. She's disappeared.
yeah,
And then Wanda's like, oh, she left. Like it was all nice and normal. That we see outside like of it's Westview, right?
yeah, Westview.
Yeah, outside of Westview, Monica flies out. She's flies out of the whatever simulation portal thing they've been doing, and it's just like she got knocked out of the area, and she's like still wearing her like 80s clothes with or like 70s clothes, and we'll get to that why I bring that up. But like she's there, and like everything's like back to normal for her. That's when we start realizing, oh, Wanda's like she has control over some of this stuff.
Yeah, like clearly this is like I think we mentioned in the last episode that like we were thinking about like does Wanda have full control, and it definitely seems like she has a bit of control of this area.
Yeah, she has a knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, she has. Yeah, she does have knowledge of what's happening, and pushing Monica out basically just says that no, I'm here for a reason, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't need people coming in here like you or whatever. And that's where the episode ends. Sort of like, and you see a bunch of like I think sword operatives coming in trucks and stuff, being like surrounding the perimeter because clearly, whatever is happening in that town with Wanda is now a known factor to people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's sort of what. Yeah, that's where the episode ends.
Yeah, it's a very like to the point episode. There's really all the important stuff happens at the end, which made me so glad that we decided to do it like two episodes, because that way we can go full spoiler on this. Because one, the big thing that happened was that Wanda's pregnant. She has the twins, Billy and Tommy, who are both Wicked and Speed respectively, and they're very well known comic book characters, especially Wiccan, who's like one of the best known openly gay characters. Wiccan, I recall, is bi, which is awesome. That's also awesome too. But first gay is like, oh wow, okay, we're going there. But Speed is pretty cool too. But Wiccan always had like more of a screen presence.
Right.
So we essentially have the introduction of those two characters. It's an amazing way. Oh, Pietro, because usually whenever it came with the X-Men or any X-Men like character, kind of hush hush. We don't talk about them that much.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, I definitely we definitely get why, because of the whole Fox deal and stuff. But yeah, it is at least nice that we have Wanda acknowledging Pietro once again, because we didn't really get a lot of that stuff in any previous movies that featured her, like in Civil War or Infinity War. So yeah, it is sort of like that's like an interesting thing that's going to come up in. Hopefully, will probably be like another factor in this show as we keep moving forward.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel like this is her, handling her trauma of losing her brother, boyfriend, husband in this show, and all that kind of stuff. And it really feels like it because she doesn't like to talk about any of the bad stuff that happened. This is her perfect world, is what's the idea. So a lot of people are saying that she's probably the main villain, or there's someone helping her and keeping her that way. So that's kind of the guess. Some people say Mephisto because he's so entwined into the whole lives of Billy and Tommy. Because Billy and Tommy are like in the comics. Yeah, I think I said this before in the last episode. They were part of Mephisto that eventually got restored back, and then yada yada yada. Reincarnation, weird stuff.
Yeah. So Yeah, it is super like this is like this episode. The end of the episode is the big sort of like I guess mic drop moment of like so. Oh, okay then.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it sort of like sets up episode 4 as to like we said earlier, basically being sort of a kind of like further delves into like at least explaining like what's going on, at least in terms of
Mm-hmm.
how Monica is involved in all this.
Mm-hmm. It's basically now. I think we have no choice but to go into spoiler mode for that one because like there's a lot of stuff that like involves a lot of like wow moments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it back. But we find out that Monica was a survivor of what the inner from the snap or what the in-universe calls it the blip.
Yeah, which I mean, I never really like. There's like I think there's like another like there's like a novelization or something that like named it something else.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name, but yeah, there's no good like name for like the snap occurring, right?
Well, they call it the blip because that's how everyone came back.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Because the episode starts off with Monica coming back, and we see her in a hospital running around trying
and it's like a redusting. It's like she's just coming back together.
It's like people were dusted away, and then now they're being dusted back in, which is kind of neat because I feel like this is like probably the first time we have seen exactly like how people come back.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't just like a whole like pop, I'm back again,
like they did in Homecoming. I mean, Far From Home.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things where like, because you read the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline.
Yeah.
Really, the snap wasn't much of a big thing as it was in the movie.
Yeah, it's mainly because the whole storyline with the Infinity Gauntlet in the comics is more of a it's Thanos trying to appease Death because he's in love with her. So he's willing to do a bunch of crazy stuff like getting all these 6 Infinity Stones and like killing like half of the universe or whatever.
Yeah, but it's always been kind of like yeah, that happened, but that was always more like to show the level of power having all 6 Infinity Stones together.
Yeah, it's basically that's it was sort of like that. That snap was sort of like indicative of the power of the Infinity Gauntlet. Like this is all the power I can do with this with all 6 stones, and it's more sort of Adam Warlock and various other characters trying to figure out how do we beat Thanos with all this power, kind of thing.
Yeah, because like they all go in and they all get their asses kicked.
Yeah, and like Adam Warlock having to do like 3 chests to like find a way to get the gauntlet off of Thanos and reverse what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Involving stuff like having Galactus and various celestial beings coming to fight Thanos as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a whole like dog pile until inevitably Thanos, like just happens to like
you know what, godlike power, I don't want it.
Yeah,
because that's the whole point of the story. Gauntlet. It's like I never really wanted godlike power. I just wanted someone to love me.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Which I get. But when you make it a movie, you can't just ignore the fact that you just snapped like half of the universe away. You have to address that.
Yeah, like in the movies, they definitely use that as like the big focal point because it is sort of like especially given the fact about the various characters that were snapped, like it's obviously like a big like oh my god, like we gotta get these guys back kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's sort of like that's sort of turned more into the focus of the movies in terms of like Thanos' huge thing, kills half the universe, and we focus on that a lot more because obviously there's a lot of emotional tension impact there because a bunch of characters that people liked are basically gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And we get more of that in this episode because like I gotta say it is perfect that she just came back out of hospital.
I mean, yeah. I mean, she's there originally because like her mother had like cancer treatment.
Yeah, Maria Rambeau.
Yeah, she had cancer treatment. She survived, and essentially she was just there waiting for her mother to like come out, and then like I guess she gets snapped. So basically, she's back in the hospital trying to find her mother. It turns out that she died because of cancer remissions.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, like, she couldn't even like she didn't like die from the treatment because that was successful. because basically she died in between her being snapped and being brought back.
Yeah, because they said like, yeah, her cancer came back 3 years ago, 2 years after you disappeared.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of like tragic.
Yeah.
It's like you just beat cancer, but you lost your kid.
And then as soon as you like die to cancer, your kid comes back.
It's like, man, you guys got screwed so bad. Which I'm like, oh my god, yes, that's what like. And like imagining all the kind of tragedies that would befall all these kind of people that would happen to the snap, which it's like the scene from Endgame where Captain America's talking to those people that are having a hard time, accepting the fact that people got snapped.
Yeah,
it's like that. It's like, listen, we're not gonna like gel over it, but this happened.
Yeah,
and like we had like that nice moment of the guy who's like, the director, he's being like, yeah, it feels so weird. I finally went on a date, and just like we kind of really didn't do anything because we're just like, what now?
Yeah,
which was just really nice and sweet, and more to the point is that we find out that Monica's mom made Sword. She was the founder, and of course, it's not dysfunction, but like they're basically saying, look, we might change some of our goals here because there's a lot of stuff that we don't know is going on, and half of our people are like, I don't want to go to space anymore.
Yeah, because you talking about like how some of their test pilots or whatever, half of them got snapped, and when they got back, obviously they're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, kind of thing. So yeah, Monica being more sort of like, no, I got this, all right. Sadly, she's like limited to the ground operations for the moment because it was a protocol her mom put as director for people who got snapped that they should at least spend time on Earth a bit before trying to proceed with any sort of like outer world operations, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess like to be fair, Sword seems to have originally been like behind something else. But then after the snap and various things, they essentially reorganized into more sort of a, hey, let's investigate all these extraterrestrial threats and how to like counter them.
Well, that was the point of Sword. Sword was always more for the space. So like yeah, and making sense that some people might need some time to get themselves back after being snapped away.
Yeah.
So like let's do that, and then like throughout the whole episode, we essentially get to see what's going on from the outside of Westview. So Monica gets a call about a missing persons, and then they start noticing like, hey, okay, Westview is clearly a thing, but these people don't remember anything about Westview.
Yeah, like a lot of people, like local people, like are sort of like, we never heard of this town before, despite the fact that the town is like there, like, and clearly like,
dude, I see a house. That's my buddy Tom living over there. How can you tell me he doesn't live there?
Well, I mean, well, to be fair, like if he was your buddy, you wouldn't remember because it seems to be a localized thing. Because Monica and the FBI agent, Agent Wu, who was from Ant-Man
too.
Yeah, which is by the way, like the interesting thing about this episode is that we get a bunch of like side characters from other like movies and stuff.
They said they were gonna bring them back, and like, they brought them back.
I mean, granted, it's not like it's kind of like, I don't know, like kind of like a side character Avengers kind of thing because we have Kat Dennings' character shows up. We have Agent Wu from Ant-Man.
Monica herself.
Yeah, Monica herself.
Not the same actress, but
But the character herself, having been like a child in Captain Marvel, now she's here as a full-grown adult doing things. So yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
In that retrospect, it's like here we have like all the side characters trying to figure out what is happening to what are essentially main characters. But yeah, it's sort of because but yeah, I think, as I was saying earlier, Monica and Agent Wu at least have knowledge of this place, but that's because they aren't like, they theorize that it's because they don't have any either like precious memories or familiar with the area, that they can discern that Yeah, no, this is a place, but we never like have that. We don't have a connection here. We just know that it's a place on the map. But all the other locals or nearby are like,
It's like it's like if it's like okay, like we're from Texas, right? It's like if Austin was no longer a place. That if you're from New Orleans and you've heard of Austin, you wanted to go to Austin, you go there, but no one knows what you're talking about. You pass by Houston and San Antonio, and they're like, Austin, what?
Yeah, like, yeah, that would be like really, yeah. It's kind of like essentially that, but obviously like a bit smaller size because it is sort of a small town of like I think 3,000.
Because if you lose Austin, that's a big.
I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of people would notice that more, but yeah, it is sort of like a small town in New Jersey, basically.
Yeah.
And that people apparently just don't like locals don't have memory of. So it causes obviously Monica's there to investigate along with Agent Wu, and they send in a drone, and they sort of like notice that it just goes through this like weird wall thing,
and then it's gone.
Yeah, and then it's basically gone. It's like it was right there. What happened? Monica goes to check the wall and sort of like sees that like you can like go through it a little bit, and then she gets sucked in.
Yeah, and then not to dog on the actor, but for me it felt like he was trying too hard to yell out the name. He was like Monica. No, I'm just kidding. He's a good actor. I like him. He was great in was he in Review?
Maybe.
I want to say he was.
Yeah.
But he was fresh off the boat, and I liked him there. But yeah, so that got everybody get together, and they're all basically trying to find their way around to like what happened to Monica Rambeau. What is this going on? Why does no one remember this place at all?
Yeah, and Kat Dennings' character sort of finds a bunch of readings. I forget the acronym she uses, but it's basically like some crazy like science fiction mumbo.
Oh no, that's an actual like mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
that's actual terminology.
Like from the comics?
No, from like real life.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, apparently that's what I've been reading on. If I can find where that was, but continue.
But yeah, basically she sort of finds these readings. She's like, okay, this is super weird, and she finds like a broadcast signal in there as well. And once she gets some people to bring her like old TV equipment, she hooks it up, and she gets to view the WandaVision show that we've been watching. So it's like it's obviously like it's a meta thing of the episode the first episode that we saw. They're watching and sort of like, what the hell's going on? Why is
But the cosmic microwave background radiation is a real thing.
Okay,
that's what it's called.
Cosmic microwave background radiation.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, basically, Kat Dennings' character basically discovers that Wanda and Vision are living in this weird meta vortex thing.
Yeah.
Where they're sort of acting out like sick.
Yeah, it's a Wikipedia page. All about it.
Okay, all right. I believe you. I don't know how you have to bring that up again.
Well, that's because I want to make sure I was 100% sure.
Okay, all right. But basically,
don't call me a liar.
I mean, I wasn't. I was like, okay, that I'll believe you.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say you were lying. I was like, okay, that's neat. Moving on to explaining the episode.
Yeah.
But basically, they are essentially studying like why are Wanda and Vision there. They obviously know that Vision is dead canonically.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell are they there? And they sort of notice as they're watching the episode and all the background characters as well. It's like, oh, these are real people that are missing.
Mm-hmm. And every time, and it's insinuated that there's more than one. Okay, we're only seeing what we're allowed to see, but there's actually more stuff going on.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that because they sort of mention like a lot of these. I mean, like Kat Dennings' character mentions some things like we've never been to this place before. We haven't seen this place yet, and it's like, okay, so there's like other episodes in sort of like in the town that Wanda and Vision are in. It's just that we've only seen what are essentially the more important aspects in terms of like, like
Yeah, in terms of like getting the story across.
yeah. So obviously, like as they're investigating and stuff like they see the old like that helicopter thing from the second episode, which we now know was originally the drone that Monica sent in, and we also get to see Monica like sort of as a background character before her getting like actual speaking lines. We also now know that the voice
in the radio
was
from last episode was Agent Wu.
Yeah,
and some people thought this guy was probably part of AIM, because AIM has like this sort of B, like not symbolism, but B look to them.
Yeah, like they have a bunch of like other sort of ground troops as like hive keeper get-ups.
Yeah.
But no, it turns out it was a dude who they had in that get-up, like sword sent a guy through the sewer, and that's why he's coming out of the sewer.
And as soon as he went through, he became sort of got that beekeeper look, and his like little tether became a rope, not a rope, but a jump rope.
Yeah, like a jump rope that's made of plastic and like plastic parts and stuff. Yeah. So it was sort of like, what the heck? Because they were trying to pull him back up after they couldn't hear him anymore, and it's like, what the? Yeah, it's super interesting. Sort of just like all the little like explanations of like, oh, like this is why it's weird or whatever.
And as the episode goes along, we start noticing some of the cuts, stuff that we've noticed.
Yeah, like the stuff that we've noticed as the audience in terms of like Wanda, obviously going back to the beekeeper thing, like her rewinding. It's sort of like they show like a similar thing of like it just doing jump cuts to something else, and it's like, why did it jump cut there or whatever.
And of course, one of the big things that we didn't mention this, but they quickly figure out who's who and what's going on with all these people. Like they find out her real name, everyone except for Agnes.
Interesting.
Yeah, everyone gets like their ID next to it, but then like Agnes doesn't have an ID.
Okay.
So either she has something involved or she isn't. We'll see. Or they haven't figured her out. I'm not gonna jump into the top highlight because I have an idea about Agnes.
Yeah. So
maybe, or should I just say my Agnes thought right now?
I mean, that's up to you.
Yeah, I'll say it right now, just to give us a little more time before we get to the end. My theory is that Agnes came visiting to that, like she's from somewhere else, but she came to visit, right? And she started to notice that, hey, Vision's like a real person though. Now, maybe, like my thing is that she came to visit because this is where her her dead husband is, Frank. So she's probably trying to trick Wanda to bring back her dead husband. Yeah.
That's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, or like I said before, it's probably Mephisto.
I mean, I think I said it last week that you're gonna be like pointing fingers at everybody being Mephisto.
Yep, that's Mephisto over there. That little bunny, that's Mephisto. Well, call him Scratchy. Some people call the devil Old Scratch. Mephisto. There you go.
But yeah, I mean that's something I didn't think about.
Yeah.
Especially because I didn't even notice that Agnes didn't get a picture because everybody else sort of gets pointed out. But yeah, you are right. Like,
and they're all like residents of New Jersey, so she's probably from out of town.
Yeah. So that could be interesting.
Yeah. So that's my theory on Agnes. I'm not saying it's a concrete theory. Most theories aren't that concrete. But they always have to be tested out to see if they're right. That's how science works.
Oh, I mean, in this case, like, yeah, it's clearly like only one way to test, and that's to keep watching the show.
Pretty much. But essentially, we see what happened with Monica and how she got thrown out.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't mention, and I'm surprised you did mention this because you're the big film guy, how the aspect ratio changes whenever the situation calls for it.
I mean, yeah, like obviously throughout the past couple episodes when we're like looking at them through their sitcom lives. It's obviously formatted in like a like a screen ratio that would be of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Here in this episode, when you do see that sort of dramatic moment, like it goes into like a bit of like the like full screen, like the black bars at the top and the bottom, when like Wanda's sort of like, I need you to leave now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of like, oh, this part is basically reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like reality for us in the MCU is shown in this way, but within Wanda's little sitcom home, it's like changing through the times and stuff. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's like meant there to be sort of like, this is that reality and this is, you know, like real world MCU stuff going on, which is it is a nice little like touch, yeah, to sort of just like showcase like a little bit of like, okay, so this is happening obviously within the sitcom show, and this is happening outside of it.
And we see her get thrown out, and she gets thrown out like she gets yeeted out of the house, goes through like 3 walls, all the way to the big wall, and knocks her out to her reality.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, Wanda, you didn't have to do that to that girl.
Well, she was threatened.
And do we want to talk about the shocking moment, or do we?
I don't know. Probably we can say that for another time.
Yeah, okay. Because there's a scene. I think you guys already know if you've seen the episode. We find out about something, and I'll be honest, I was a little shocked and horrified about that scene.
Yeah, it is sort of a like, oh my lord, it is sort of a we delve deeper into sort of exactly what the hell's happening.
Yeah, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a bit terrifying. Just the visual look of it is sort of like, oh lord.
And the implications are even worse.
Yeah, it does have like some ramifying implications of exactly why the hell, or like what is going on. Like,
yeah, and essentially the episode ends like it would have in the previous episode, with Vision and Wanda sitting down with their babies, enjoying the whatever's on TV, and then you hear the laugh track.
Yeah,
which it's giving you the idea that this is all Wanda.
Yeah, like it is sort of like pointing to like Wanda is at the center of all of this, and she definitely has a good amount of control of what's going on, which I think initially you were sort of like, you know, obviously speculating like, is she trapped in here, or does she have control of this place? And she does have a good chunk of control. Now, whether or not like she's responsible for switching it to different decades is like, I don't know, but she definitely has clearly gained significant like enhancements of her powers over these, you know, since the last time we've seen her.
And it's really, I think, one of the best things about this show. I don't know. Some people feel like because it was I've heard people say that they wish this episode was a little longer because it makes sense that it's like less than 30 minutes because of the sitcom.
Yeah.
But because we're not doing sitcom style, it should be a little longer, or at least 10 minutes longer. But I'm like, I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I definitely understand.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get that statement because, like, it did feel a little breakneck for this one.
Yeah. Like, I guess, yeah, you could argue that the pacing's a little, like, fast. Just because it's sort of, like, montaging through all the moments that were weird initially and sort of, like, trying to explain them now as, like, oh, this was because of this and this kind of thing. But, I mean, I think it's like the form, like at least the runtime still is pretty sufficient for this show. And I definitely think it's like, I don't know. It seems like this is like a lot of these Disney Plus shows for Marvel, at least, to be more sort of like potential like miniseries, like one-offs. Because I don't imagine this getting a season 2
Yeah.
unless like somehow by the end like Wanda still is willing to sort of keep this town like potentially under whatever crazy thing she's doing.
Yeah. No, I don't see it. Maybe this the whole idea of WandaVision is kind of like a play off the television.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know that from the name, and plus a lot of the stuff that happens within the show, like I don't know, it's like I feel like it would lose its charm because the charm for this whole show was like watching some sort of weird, like psychedelic. I wouldn't say psychedelic, but something around those lines of like these classic TV shows and sort of weird like mind stuff going on.
Yeah, like it's definitely like it's a bit of an homage to like past family sitcom stuff, but at the same time doing like a weird like supernatural twist to it. And yeah, you can't. I feel like you couldn't like recreate it like for a second season just because like if we were like staying within the time these the eras more than one episode, then I think maybe you could run it for a second season. But given the fact that we've already hit like the 70s and we're potentially, I'm going to assume next week's episode will be in the 80s. Yeah, I don't think
we have 5 episodes left, so it's gonna be like 80s, 90s, 2000s, and maybe slash 2010s in that one because they said the last 2 episodes are essentially gonna be more of the classic Marvel stuff.
Yeah, so by the time we get to the end of this season, we're definitely going to be coming into like modern time of family sitcom stuff. So yeah,
they hinted at doing kind of like a Modern Family kind of thing, where like they do the like they do like the reality TV show thing where like they sit somewhere and they just start talking to the camera. Like the Bernie Mac show, remember that?
Yeah.
Like, listen, America, let me tell you, like that.
Yeah. So I mean, that could be interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, even the second season will probably be something like different movie genres, or just very different like TV genres, maybe too.
I mean, that would be, I guess, kind of neat, but
it takes away from what the whole point of the show would be, right?
Yeah, like it definitely seems like this show more than anything is sort of like is meant to help set up a lot of stuff that might come down later on in the MCU for Phase 4, essentially. So I definitely do think we probably won't get a second season out of this. But yeah, I think, is there anything else you want to add up or
not on the top of my tongue, man. I think it's the episodes are getting really well. My hope is that the episodes don't get too straight to the point, but rather we get to delve more into like what the heck is going on and kind of stuff.
Just in terms of more like, is there more stuff that is hidden from us that we don't know about? Because yeah, I do feel like at this point we sort of kind of have at least a good chunk of what's happening with Sword and stuff, but we still don't know why Wanda is potentially doing this, if she is like the main mastermind, if there's like other people involved, like you saying Mephisto and stuff.
Everyone feeling that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's reports that Evan Peters is probably coming back as Quicksilver, which I feel is still weird. Some say he might be Speed, like an adult version of Tommy. I mean, Tommy. But I'm like, that's even weirder.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, hearing about those rumors and stuff, I thought it would be kind of like a funny thing of they send a guy in, they send Evan Peters' characters in, and he's essentially is like there to pretend to be Pietro to try to snap Wanda out of it, but clearly it doesn't work because he doesn't look like him at all.
He doesn't look like Hurricane Johnson.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I feel like
that would be a fun meta joke.
Yeah, that would be like a funny meta joke of like they both play Quicksilver. in different movies. So maybe she would like confuse him for the brother, but it's like, no.
You look nothing like Pedro.
You don't even have his speed powers.
Yes, I do. Look. Someone play Sweet Dreams.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that could be something, but yeah, I mean, there still is sort of a lot of
Mystery to be had.
mystery here. Like mainly, like what is Wanda's motivation in all of this?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I mean, I think I know the motivation of it. It's like at some point, I feel like even Vision is starting to figure out. He's gonna figure out what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I do find it funny that a lot of the Sword members, or the FBI, or whatever, all the other different groups that are there to try to figure out what Wanda's up to, do have like their theory board going around.
Yeah.
Stuff that you've seen people talk about even online, like what do the hexagons mean? Why is Vision alive? Why is they're having their own little,
Yeah, I will admit it is kind of like a funny little meta sort of joke of like the investigators, like the audience, are trying to like piece together what the hell is going on here.
Because Guy Denny's character is just sitting there just enjoying the show.
Yeah, she's just like watching the show as a show itself, and it's like, like
she's got like a bag of chips. She's like keeping track of everything.
She's kind of complaining like Wanda's always washing the dishes every episode. It's annoying.
Or my favorite moment is when like they had like the end of the episode like kiss and she's like, aww. like that's how like she knows she's invested.
I feel like a lot of people always had mixed feelings about her character, but here I think it's more or less fine.
Yeah, and she's a little grown up now, but she's still got a little of that sass.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about everything we can talk about for these past 2 episodes, right?
Yeah, I think that's about it because like it's not that it's not. It's not that it's not long. They're being very straight. The last episode was very straightforward. Everything we talked about that we could talk about the previous episode, we did. It's because there's a lot of stuff that we need to know. There's like 5 episodes left. I thought it was 6. That I was wrong. It was 9. So, that relieved me from a little like concern because I was like, if this is the 4th episode, what are we gonna do with the last 2 episodes? But now there's still time to do more, and there's still time to do a lot of the stuff. So yeah, thank God. And yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, there's still a lot of mysteries to be had in the show, and obviously, there's definitely a lot of stuff that we still don't know, and it will be interesting to see like the outcome of that stuff. And I'm personally sort of wondering like what this show probably has, like what are the implications for the larger part of the MCU for this stuff, in terms of obviously leading into different things. Like I mean, you had the theory before of like this potentially leading into stuff involving Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness stuff. So
I mean, do you think he'll show up by the end of the episode?
By the end of the series?
Yeah.
Honestly, like,
we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't think we know. I think we know most of the cast at this point. So
I mean, supposedly James Spader's is coming back to voice Ultron. I think Peter's supposedly gonna be Quicksilver or whatever. I'm still betting on Aaron Taylor Johnson to show up and be like, "Hi guys," and then just speed away.
I mean, I don't know. That would be interesting, but especially because in the universe he's dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is going to be quite interesting these next couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's the best place to end it, guys. It's an interesting show. You want to give a quick rating?
For the past 2 episodes,
yeah.
I think both were like at a solid 8 for me.
I was gonna, 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the last episode for me was an 8. This is just 8.5 because it slightly got my interest. My only issue was the pacing. But then again, that's like a lot of issues that I have with a lot of stuff that I'm checking out. And so yeah, that's our rating, guys. Thanks for checking us out. If you want to follow us, we do have all accounts in almost every social media that we can think of. Well, not all, but the main ones. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the Geek Centurions. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll find a link tree to all the podcast sites that we are officially on and our YouTube, so that you can go and check us out. So if you want to listen to us to either Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Castbox, all that stuff, we're there. YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what we could do for episodes and stuff like that. We're always happy to hear some pitches, and hit the bell icon so we know how it works. YouTube's weird, so we're always trying to crack that code right there for us. And if you want to support us in any form of way, we do have a Patreon where you can donate a certain amount of cash, however you want, and we'll be able to do some stuff later on, depending on how current events go on and such. But yeah, it's been a fun episode. WandaVision's still pretty, interesting. I love that they ended this episode with Voodoo Child.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that was a Jimi Hendrix song at the end, right?
Yeah, it was Voodoo Child.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's some Jimi Hendrix. It's very appropriate for the time.
Oh yeah.
But also, very indicative of just Wanda.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all fits.
What if they ended it? What if they ended one episode with Mississippi Queen?
I mean, that would be interesting, I guess.
Or Black Magic Woman by Santana.
Okay, yeah.
That one makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I think that one makes a lot more sense. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for checking us out, guys. Hopefully we'll be back next time with something cool, and we'll continue this WandaVision stuff. I know March is gonna be interesting because they just announced that sometime in March. I forget what date. They just announced it today. The Snyder Cut's coming out. So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously there's gonna be a lot of talk about this year in terms of our content. So yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one. It's been your boy Joey and Eli. Hope you guys have a good one.